Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I'm happy to arrive to an already gathered gathering of devotees. So Amarinder also with us, Kumkum Devidasi, Paramananda Prabhu Vrindavaneshwari, Sevarupa Mayeshwari, and not, I was going to say last but not least, but we've got our Leelamoy Jai Goranga Priya Sundari there in Govinda Farm. But not last, because Radha Sundari joined us just as we're about to mention you. So very happy to have you all with us. And I am witnessing on Facebook too at the same time. And so we've got Facebook running, we've got Zoom running, and we've got the recorded version. So my obeisances to you all. Welcome. And we have an hour together to hear something about the basics of Krishna consciousness. Back to basics, forward to back to basics. But where we are to be is always with our feet on the ground and being careful of the foundation. And Krishna Priya Devidasi joined us also just now too. So with our greetings and obeisances to you all, let us begin with Vandeham as we do some invocation to start our gathering. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitanscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Parayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvijay Namaha. And indeed, again, some joined us in the meantime. Also Gangalila Devidasi, Sevarupa Devidasi, they've joined us. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, dear devotees, we are here, we're still here in this world. Many of our brothers and sisters, they have passed on to the next chapter of life, but we are here. And where we will go to, Guru Maharaj also says, we can say, can we say with certainty where we will be posted in our next life if we do not take to the Krishna conscious call, in fact. So as much as we are sincere, we are safe, and no doubt we'll be always on the journey. But why wait for another lifetime if in this lifetime we can be a good student? So some theme of sincerity, why we've come to Krishna consciousness, the keeping up of enthusiasm, and enthusiasm being the very first of the 6 qualities of 6 favorable items for devotional service. Enthusiasm, confidence, patience, following the Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam directives, and abandoning the resolve to abandon the association of gross persons who are very much addicted to the material world, etc. And to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and great Vaishnavas, exemplary Vaishnavas. So the first of those 6 given by Rupa Goswami is enthusiasm. So we're in a world where we're given false enthusiasm for money, for fame, for prestige and power and whatever it may, possessions and clothing, whatever it may be, which puts our status, some gives us some status or apparently gives us some status in the world. So we're being given enthusiasm in many ways in this world for doing things which are shallow. Everybody knows they're shallow. But when we've got some opportunity to be enthusiastic for something substantial, then we shall try to take that nourishment and make our lives successful, because there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way to happiness and health, as Srila Guru Maharaj says, except to be a devotee of Krishna. So if anyone's unhappy, be a better devotee of Krishna. If anyone's unhealthy, be a better devotee of Krishna. It doesn't mean that at the next moment, suddenly we're going to be 100% health rating and 100% happy, but we're going to be always going in the right direction. And then everything of this world that comes to us, we will tolerate our lot. And we cannot fight our lot. We cannot try to make our own path, chalk out our own path, make our own planet, our own universe. We need to understand how to go in harmony with Krishna's planet, Krishna's universe, his design. So when we know that there is such a location as not physical, of course, nothing is physical within consciousness, but when we know that there is such a plane of life, then we shall try to learn how to get there, get the tips, follow the tips, and proceed happily. And to follow the tips is the most important part. We can all learn, various things. Well, we could when we were young. We could all learn various things and dates in history and the working of the body, whatever it may be. But we need to put into practice what is given to us. And so an ounce of practice is worth a ton of theory. But by the following the practice, we will get enthusiasm. We will be able to nourish that very beginning part of our favorable activities. And we have some part to play. We can be given a place on the school football team or the village football team. And we may be given that place because we're strong, we're good at playing the football, at controlling the ball, etc. But if we're not enthusiastic, we're not really going to make the grade. We're going to be dropped from the football team and get somebody else who has some enthusiasm. So we don't want to be in the dropped department. We want to be in the department which is going to give encouragement to others, but also it is a dynamo that we ourselves, we will practice, we will share, we will get more also by giving. As Guru Maharaj points out, in the regular world, we think that by giving something, we will lose it. But that is not the case with education, for instance. Somebody who's a mathematics master, the more he gives to the students, the more that consolidates it in him, what is teaching about the finer side of mathematics, etc. But in spiritual life, then very much this is Mahaprabhu's gift. Mahaprabhu's given the gift and told us to pass on that gift to others. Whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna. So we're happy to be in this assembly of enthusiastic devotees from north, south, east, and west. And Maheshwari, good to see you with us this week. I was going to say, I hope Krishna's treating you nicely, but we have to say, whatever happens to us, we can't say, oh, it's Krishna. We have to go through our lot in this life, whatever is given for us, for our tolerance, for our learning, for our solidifying our Krishna consciousness. We have to go through everything. And Krishna is always treating us kindly. It's ourselves who treat ourselves unkindly or have done in the past. We're not saying that now. I mean, hopefully, I know none of you are treating yourselves unkindly now. You're being kind to yourself. But Srila Guru Maharaj did explain about this karma momentum. We may stop applying karma, the giving energy to the reactions, but we've still got some momentum from our activities before. As a wheel, if you spin a wheel with your hand, you stop exerting force on the wheel, it still will spin for some time. It will slow down and stop because you're not exerting more force. But in the past, there are so many things that have happened, and so we have to consider it's our own fault that we're in this world. And we forgot about being in the womb, about growing up, about dying last time, and the time before, and the time before that, and the time before that, and that, and that. We've forgotten so many things in this world. But Srila Guru Maharaj said that we are all our own, that we are all criminal, perhaps was the word he used, that we've all turned our head, we've all turned our head away from the Lord, and for that, we've come to this world. So now we have to be corrected. Maybe you should give me a second. It seems either the light has failed or the socket has come out. Doesn't matter. Okay, I know it doesn't matter. The plug is on the other side. So anyway, for those of you who are seeing and not just hearing, let us see what I can do. Anyway, just some thoughts to start the day. And whatever we can do for each other, it's not a one-way discourse or something like this. When we come together, we want to share, we want to hear, and we can learn from everyone's experience in one way or another. And we must learn the good things from others and how others have coped with different situations. And there is certainly something to know. Well, from this last week in particular, there definitely is always somebody worse off than ourselves. If we look and see, think about what our misfortunes are, this, that, and the other, there's always somebody worse off. And this week also, we've got, two big cases. One is like a monetary case, and another one is a health case, but two different devotees with two different very unfortunate circumstances that happened. But there's always somebody worse off than us. We must all try to look what we have and not look at what we don't have or our complaints about the world, because whatever we have, somebody else is in a much worse situation. And our doctor devotee here sees all sorts of things every day with the regular people, maybe, but he sees the suffering in the world. It's his job to go to the people who are suffering. And there's no shortage of suffering people in that sense. So whatever we have, we should look at the positive side and look that we've got a human body, human brain, but more than that, we've got the human body with the connection to the highest destination through our Sri Guru Baba. Hare Krishna. Nindu Lake David as he joined us, Asha Purna David as he joined us. So we're in very good company here and on Facebook. So today we've got Paramanandru back in Thailand. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devotees in Thailand with us live, but also we know that Muktinath Prabhu and others do join us time to time. And we have Asha Purna, not in Thailand, but in the east coast of the United States. So you must be in the night. You must be in the night on the east coast. All right. So let me pass the microphone over to Paramananda Prabhu, and I'll see if I can get a little light back so I'm not a silhouette. Paramananda Prabhu and Krishna Priya, you may give us a duet of Hare Katha.
Well, Maharaj, I will be violating the principles of Vaishnava etiquette. So let me pass microphone to Kumkum Didi, and then I can follow her up.
Okay, I'm in full agreement too. Happily.
You must accept my Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj, Paramananda Prabhu, and Krishna Priya Didi, and all the Vaishnavas here. We're so fortunate that we can feel that we are all in the same room. And everyone should take the example of Paramananda Prabhu in considering Vaishnava etiquette, because that pleases our gurus. So even a person who is not worthy of our respect, we still give it. I'm and understanding something of enthusiasm and can actually come from the realization of our difficult circumstances in this life. And the more we come to understand the brevity of this life and how there is no guarantee that we will have a long life or a easy life, we can still reflect on the teachings of our gurus that explain to us about somehow or other we got ourselves in the position that we're in. And because of that, there's the only thing to do is to say, well, at least now I have the opportunity to stop creating these bad circumstances for myself. And that can give us a lot of enthusiasm, especially if we understand we've got today, and who knows if we will have much more time. But whatever happens in this life, we can trace back from our early years and with the understanding that somehow or other in my previous life or lives, I chose that circumstance. I thought that would be a very good environment. I thought I would be able to enjoy and become king or queen, and instead ended up with all of these things that out of my control, I don't like, but because of the teachings that are coming from Sriman Mahaprabhu and coming to us so clearly, we can, that was our mistake, to be thinking like that we would get a good birth where we could enjoy unlimitedly and not have to suffer so much. So I'm just thinking how that very suffering can be the cause of our enthusiasm. By the grace of association with Vaishnavas, we can turn it into fuel that will give us the impetus to want to practice more and more and make the best of this life, which is actually plenty enough time if we are sincere. So that's what, Maharaj, your words are reminding me of, and we can make some real advancement, and as quickly as we wish. It's all completely up to us.
Jai Kumkum Devidasi. And I don't know why, what reason, maybe there is no reason, but I was thinking of Rishabh Dev Prabhu recently. And there also is an example: successful, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And those are the three things which we strive for in this world, to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And Kumkum Didi's husband, he was that. He was healthy, he was wealthy, he was wise, and such a devoted gentleman, Texan gentleman, and always so sweetly interacting with Srila Gurudev, and just so much appreciated the tapes. He was an enthusiast for the recordings of Guru Maharaj, the recordings of Gurudev. He saw those as a great treasure. And then you can say in prime of life, suddenly he left the world.
Yeah.
And this is an example in Kumkum Didi's own life, and in our life, we were there with Rishabh Dev Prabhu in those last days, because he came to Navadip with Guru Dev, with Srila Govinda Maharaj's permission, with his blessing to come, and he fulfilled his desire, and he fulfilled his desire to leave the world once he knew that he must die soon. His prayer and desire was that he would leave the world in Navadip in the association of Srila Gurudev.
Yes.
And he fulfilled all of that.
Yes.
There is an example of somebody who's got everything in the world that most people would ever want, plus devotion, everything, but quickly left from the world.
Yes. We are definitely fortunate to have known his example and definite sincerity to dive in to beg for this mercy, because he understood that it would come, just if he wanted it. His whole life was that way. He actually had many incidents in his from birth, where he almost died as a young child or became very ill. And several times he was found floating face down when he was a toddler in a rain ditch, and someone saved him miraculously at the end. But he had many incidents like that. And so he was not one to think that this life is meant to enjoy. Many things, like you were mentioning, came to him easily, but he didn't think that they were the important thing at all. And so when he got the association first of Srila Prabhupada, it was a fulfillment of everything. And then he got Srila Guru Maharaj's divine blessings, like anything, and all of the Vaishnavas who were with them. And of course, we also know that Srila Govinda Maharaj also, just when he said that Rishabh Dev Prabhu went to Gaura Krishna Leela, then I was able to see that he's not simply saying that. He knows it because he's the one who took him there. Because he was there with him, and he told me that, my husband had had his eyes closed the whole day. It was definitely his last day, and everything was falling into place. And then his eyes were closed, and then at the perfect time, Srila Gurudev again entered the room, and Gurudev told me that my husband opened his eyes. He said, looked at me, and gone. And so that's why I know that Srila Gurudev escorted him to that plane that we aspire for. He's not just praising my husband. He was actually the grace that ensured that he succeeded. This human life was successful. So somehow or other, he got to go forward, like we all have the opportunity to do if we'll take it up quite seriously.
And we can all get enthusiasm from that.
Yeah.
It's not, generally not, it's not joyful to hear about somebody's disappearing or passing away from this world. But this kind of Leela, of which we are also direct witness there in Navadip, then this kind of activities of the devotees, a way of birth, a way of leaving, and their life in the middle, every part of a devotee's life is enthusiasm giving, reminding us that we're doing the right thing, going in the right direction.
Yes.
And that for all of us, we are going in the direction of birth to death, so make sure that we are on the right path, that we do have to take seriously our spiritual journey and not leave it on the back burner, as they say, but bring it to the front burner. Mm-hmm. Those who are cooks, know what the meaning is.
Yes. They can the difficulties can keep the fire from being feeble, can keep our attempts strong.
Not to keep a feeble fire. Anyway, I seem to have stolen the microphone from Paramanandru. Excuse me, Paramanandru, the microphone I'm giving to you. But I found the light. just see. No, we can't hear you, Prabhu, and we can't lip read also, unfortunately.
I said, microphone is all yours.
Oh, oh, very clever.
I have no rights and no claims on that. But again, I'm passing the microphone to Krishna Priya, since she's the temple president of Sri Govinda Farm Ashram. So I don't want to violate any Vaishnava etiquette here.
What I can say. Again, Maharaj, I love listening the most because I can get more things from all the senior Vaishnava. I love to hear, and I like to practice. Somehow, it's just always like I want, like from my experience, the most important is like association, Maharaj. Without this is cannot do any process or progress anything. The most powerful and good association is always bring you up. You always look up and try like harmony, learn things and do things together. Basically, you cannot like practice alone. The most value for me this year is association, Maharaj. Now I really learned something. The power of the good devotee, power of the good association with the devotee is very powerful, Maharaj. That's how I learned this year.
And wherever we are, we can get association through the books, means the words in the black and white form, in the written form, the words of our masters, and through now the modern world, their recordings, as we just mentioned just now about Rishabdev Prabhu. He very much appreciated the recordings of Guru Maharaj, the recordings of Gurudev, recordings of Srila Prabhupada, because he was in the world doing seva. All his life he's doing service. And he's in Navadip and with Srila Gurudev for some time, but not 12 months of the year. So maybe with Srila Guru Maharaj for 2 or 3, with Srila Guru Maharaj or with Srila Gurudev 2 or 3 weeks or a month or something, but most of the time was living in the world and getting much nourishment from the tapes of Guru Maharaj, the tapes of Srila Prabhupada. So in this world, if we can get the direct association, it is very good, but still we can search out association, because the talks that were given when they're recorded in audio form and in visual and audio form, it is like the Vedas, but today, something like that, when we see the speaker as well as hear their message. So we can always search out association, but the direct, the very kind of living form in its way is in the heart of the devotees. And the devotees, why are they devotees? Everyone's got something. And so this is our direct association with the Vaishnavas. So this would be the answer, by the way, as you know, of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, for so many of the questions of the devotees who are, oh, how to get over this, how to do this. Then the first part of the answer would be association, by good association. Association, service, sincerity. By the way, if you like to listen, then Paramananda Prabhu may have put down the microphone, but he's put from Bilva Mangal, he's put a quotation here in the chat box. Maybe Paramananda Prabhu, you could read your quotation. You may know it without reading it, in fact.
I better read the quotation, Maharaj, but the verse is quite famous. So we hear it a lot from Govinda Maharaj, from Guru Maharaj. This bhakti stvai stiratara bhagavati disits daivena na plati divi kishora murti Svayam Mukhalanjali Sevate. Smadharmat. See, I don't remember, but Swayam Mukhalitanjali Sevate. Amadharmatakama. Gataya Samaya Pratishta. O Supreme Lord, if our devotion for you, and that's just the verse that inspired me recently, so I just decided to put it in. It may not be, well, it relates to everything, but not be related directly to our discussion this morning. O Supreme Lord, if our devotion for you were more steadfast, your adolescent form would naturally arise or appear within our hearts. Then there would not be the slightest necessity to pray for the triple pursuits of religiosity, sensual desire, or one is missing. Religious gain, okay, the material gain and the sensual desire. So artha, kama, and moksha is mentioned. And their negation in the form of liberation, mukti, because mukti will personally attend us. Her hands cupped in prayer and the fruits of bhakti culminating in attainment of heaven will eagerly await their orders. Should any necessity arise for them in the service of your lotus feet. But this verse we heard a lot. It's not something we desire to attain or hankering as a goal of life, but it will happen naturally. So the one who possesses devotion acquires pretty much everything in this world, but they have no use for it except to use it in the service of Krishna. It just happens. And it's beautifully described how the most desirable thing of this world, the liberation, so-called mukti, kaivalya, will be standing with the folded hands, praying to be somehow used in the service. And why Bilomangal Thakur is using that comparison of mukti standing there with the folded hands? Because it's not so easy to use. It's kind of, once you achieve that platform of pure devotion, it all just happens naturally. So there is not much use, but yet she is praying, I want to be used, I want to be utilized, I want to be that fortunate personality who can be used in the service to the Lord, even though there is not much use for me in that particular state. Anyhow, this is something that I read recently in Prapanajula Namritam, the inspirational verse. But then this morning, like you mentioned, we just got the news of some monetary problem, some health problem. Really, you're waking up in the morning quite often, and you're doing the reality check. And then you're realizing, oh, I'm still in the mundane world. Because your body reminds you that. There's a pain here, there's a pain there, something is not functioning properly. And the more you go, the more often the reminders come. Then you open your email, and there will be another reminder. Oh, there's a monetary problem right there. So I just woke up this morning with all of these reminders. So it was very timely for you to mention. Of course, there are different degrees of everything, different gradations of everything. But very early in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna addressed that point with simple verse, Matras Parshastu Kunteya Shitoshta Sukha Dukkada Agama Paida Nityastam Stitikshus for Bharata. He's saying that the bad things and the good things will come. The happiness, the distress will come one after another. It will always come and go, Arjuna. This is the nature of this world. This is where you are, this is where we are now. So a wise person will pay no attention to that. He will maintain this equilibrium, not paying attention. Oh, today I'm very happy, or now I'm unhappy. So let me just go and grab a coffee to make myself a little bit more happy. And that's in the best case, best solution of making yourself happy. Most of the people, they go for some, many, not most, many people go for something stronger than that. Anyhow, And that momentarily happiness will lead to years of distress till the end of the life, and then again you try to do the same. So really, it's a good advice, and it comes very early in the Bhagavad Gita. So without understanding that, it's very difficult to make any progress whatsoever in Krishna consciousness. Basic things, early chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So good to remember and good to remind ourselves. They're basic, this sounds basic, but somehow it's very difficult to implement in our life. Because again, Krishna is saying, Maya is very strong. And why is she strong? Because she is my energy. I am the owner of that. But if you want to be free from that, then come to my feet, come to my lotus feet. Love me. Guru Maharaj says, shamelessly, he is saying, love me. Give up absolutely everything, all other love, all other affection for anyone but me. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. And interestingly, Guru Maharaj is saying, shamelessly, he is saying that. And that is our good fortune. So very clear, everything is given very clear. And I'm always surprised with myself, with all these clear messages. And with such a wonderful guardians and guides and teachers. Yet I'm not getting it. And I'm not practicing properly. I'm not acquiring any love, any attention. So this is a very peculiar situation. That would be a good question, actually. Why is that happening? I mean, that's not necessary to discuss it in the public, but good to ask ourselves and good to ask it in prayers to our guardians, prayers to Krishna, and see what kind of revelation will come our way. But the only revelation comes is a complete surrender. And then again, it sounds very easy. I mean, we surrender in so many ways in this world. You surrender yourself when you're checking in and going and board the airplane. That's a full surrender. I mean, there's no guarantees it's going to make it, right? And then you accumulate all your money, hard work, 50 years of work, 60 years of work sometimes, if someone is likely to live that long. And then you entrust it to the bank. And again, there is no guarantees. For example, Thai bank, let's say you have $1 million. You put it in the bank. You work very hard all your life and you're thinking, oh, now I'm going to be safe. I'm going to have enough savings. So if anything happens, I'm good. You know how much the bank guarantees? If something goes wrong and bank goes bankrupt, it happens all the time. They guarantee $25,000 only. So out of 1 million, if bank goes broke, you're going to get 25,000. But without thinking twice, we're putting all our wealth in the bank, fully trusting, fully surrendering at the mercy of I don't know who. Why is that so difficult to surrender to Krishna? It's a question to you, Maharaj, now.
It's called illusion. We get put under the spell, and then there we are, and we're put under the spell because we want to be cheated. This was one thing in Srila Prabhupada's books that it took me a long time. Even now, maybe I don't have it fully assimilated, but I do have some idea more than before. Before, I just couldn't understand. Oh, we're being cheated. Only you can be cheated if you want to be cheated. This idea. So when we come from putting Krishna at the center and putting basically ourselves at the center, then we're saying, yes, I want to be cheated because I'm ignoring the truth, the honest path. So the honest path is to do everything for Krishna. So because I want to be cheated by ignoring him, then we're coming into the world of the cheats and the cheated. So yes, illusion and Maya is very strong, and we need her grace in order to be released from this world. This not world, but this plane. But that grace comes from especially Guru and Gauranga. Especially now, this age, we say easily Guru, Gauranga. But original Guru, Nityananda, and Gauranga, original Krishna, original Radha Krishna, they are the masters. They can give the little word to Maya to withdraw, and everything is solved. And again, Bhagavad Gita, that only in this way are we going to get relief from this material world. Krishna can give relief.
Actually,
And
I just noticed, Maharaj,
yes.
one thing. There's this story that everyone heard about the two disciples coming to Saraswati Thakur and complaining about how they're not getting absolutely anything, even though they're practicing everything he's saying, they're trying to do their best. Shastra, mantra, seva, all of that, but getting nothing. And Saraswati Thakur been very satisfied with that expression. And he said, well, you can stop doing that. And they said, no, that we cannot do. That is unthinkable. So there's a special grace in that, even though sometimes feeling frustrated in not gaining anything in our practice. I mean, we're feeling that. It doesn't mean that we're not gaining, but we're feeling that. And in the same time, it never crosses the mind, oh, I'm going to give up chanting, I'm going to give up serving, I'm going to give up association with the devotees or reading the Shastra. That is unthinkable. And one devotee, my old friend, we had this discussion once. He said, well, even if this is all not true, there is nothing more beautiful than that in this world. So why do we need to worry about that? And that reminds me about that saying, why worry when the process is so beautiful? And Krishna is very merciful. He is giving a very beautiful, very attractive, and very sweet process. So we don't need to think, not to get attached to the results, but instead try to surrender to him. Results are his anyway, they're not ours. So why would we get attached to somebody else's results? Shrutashravan Prabhu used to quote this, I think it's the the United States Marines slogan, we're not to ask why, we're to fight and die. That was one of his favorite quotes, not Shastrical quotes. And then Krishna Priya just mentioned the power of association.
And Sevarupa Devirasi, she's been very helpful, and she's put some quote here in the chat box too, and this in bold writing: revitalizing association, revitalizing association. And I think that's a subheader in one chapter, revealed truth. So Sevarupa, can we please ask you to read this that you put here? This is Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj's words.
Dandavat pranams to everyone. Dandavat pranams, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. I think it was also a topic from Vila Govinda's class yesterday. So it is from Revealed Truth, and where a student asks Gurudev, sometimes we get discouraged for one reason or another in our spiritual life. How can we best keep our enthusiasm strong? So in the lower down, I've put the attachment from Vila Govinda, but this is then just some of it. If we can sincerely practice in this way, we will get proper association with the Lord's servants. By the grace of Sadhu, Guru, and Vaishnava, our enthusiasm in spiritual life will increase more and more. They are always giving us hope. They are never making us hopeless. Any situation may come before us, or we may commit any offense, but they are always giving us some hope and some service to the Lord. Our enthusiasm will grow through their association. Association is the best thing for conditioned souls to get more enthusiasm in their practicing life. We should not be frustrated. The ego is very bad. Ego destroys so many things, but our ego will go down if we cultivate and increase within ourselves the qualities of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. I am seeing that ego destroys our enthusiasm. What can I do? I can only give advice. If anyone will follow it, they must be benefited. Ego is very dangerous for everyone, and to leave ego is difficult, or is very difficult. Jai, Srila Gurudev.
Now we're all going to say to ourselves, but I don't have any ego. Hare Krishna. But I don't have any ego. No, I don't have ego. Well, let's look at the environment and see what Krishna does to each of us. And I think we'll say, oh, maybe a little bit is left after all. Hare Krishna. Control the speaking, mind, and anger. Tongue, belly, and genitals. The very first advice. Hare Krishna. Yes, Govinda, Govinda. All other devotees also happily joined us. Jose is with us, and maybe Harini somewhere near him. Narayani Nadir. Rupanuga, Prabhu, Ashapo. Yes, Ashapurna was with us already. Gangadi. Hare Krishna. Any contribution or question from anyone? Induleka Devinasi. You still have a Christmas tree there. Is that a Christmas tree behind you?
Vandavan. Yes, it is a Christmas tree. And I was thinking about the association, and something came to mind. Like sometimes I drive in my car and I listen to music and like sing with it, like "Ah." And then sometimes when like something happens and suddenly music turns off, and like I hear how bad my singing is. Like it's when I sing with it, it's like, oh my God, I'm hitting all those notes. I'm such a good singer. Then it turns off. It's like I don't even know all the words actually, and my hearing is bad, my voice is bad. Like what was I thinking? So I think it's kind of like that with association. When you're with devotees and you're like all together, you think like I'm such a good devotee, I'm so good, and you get really inspired. But then sometimes you do need to take some time by yourself to actually understand what you are.
There's a real life example. Jai. I'm sure that's going to stay with me the whole day. At least. Hare Krishna. And Sri Govinda Farm is bursting to say something. 3 devotees, always something they're bursting to say. Indulekadi, many thanks for that one. And from the heart, please, devotees, if we've got some things from the heart, our life experience, we love to hear.
Actually, Gurudev, we have a question here. We are actually following your footsteps, or trying to, and we are reading and chanting Sharanagati. We are in the halfway, and we are having some amazing discussion with the translations and everything. And Jagaranga has a question related to.
Does he know? He looks surprised.
He knows. Jagaranga.
So, Dandavats Maharaj, Dandavats to all the devotees. So my question is, whereabouts is so in the Goptrip Varan section of Sharanagati, there's one song,
Song 20.
song 20, and in it says
The 4th
in
verse.
the 4th verse it says Tava ich chamata jiva janama maran sam vridi nirupata dukkha sukha samgatan, and it says in accordance, is it verse 4 or verse 3?
This for
In accordance with your will, the souls take birth and die. In accordance with your will, they experience prosperity, ruin, happiness, and distress. And so my question is, the souls, it's around, like when the material world is destroyed, what happens to the Jiva soul? Do they go back to the Tatastha Shakti, or do they remain here?
yeah, because we heard that the soul doesn't die. And here the translation is the souls take birth and die and die. Then our discussion, because the last verse is saying that Shiva annihilates the universe. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you can explain for us something, clarification. I thought it was like the souls take birth, and according to the annihilation of the universe, like they die again and go back to Tatasha and reborn again. I don't know. It's a basic question.
Yeah, it says, I was just looking at the word, yeah, marana, janama, marana, samriddhi. Okay, yes. So the word there is marana, death. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I haven't considered this point before, Paramananda, Paramananda Prabhu. So, Paramananda Prabhu, I think you may have considered this point. I mean, I can say something, but I think you may be able to give us something a little more definitive straight away.
Maharaj, I need to read this particular song, but it could also be referring to a soul not connecting to Krishna is as good as death, because it's a poetic expression of a sincere prayer of the Vaishnava. But addressing another question, what happens with the Jiva souls when the complete destruction of the material world happens? It is, and we heard it from Srila Gurudev and Srila Guru Maharaj, they return into that Tatastha area, and then again they're manifested. But it is also pointed to us many times that Jiva Tattva is one of the inconceivable, one of the Achintya Tattvas, like Guru Tattva, Shiva Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and maybe some other Tattva. But they're inconceivable and impossible to understand how it all works. Even karma, it's just one devotee addressed, he approached Srila Prabhupada. He asked, Prabhupada, how can we understand this law of karma, how it all works? I really want to figure that out. And Prabhupada answered, you will never figure that out. You will waste your precious time. All you need to know is chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and be happy. So some things we can just accept from our guardians. After the distractions, so they return to their unmanifest position. And then they are manifested again during another creation of the universe. But to say anything definitive about this particular song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his particular prayer, the only speculation I can come up with that, again, if a soul is not connected to the Lord, as good as death, and if it couldn't connect in this lifetime, then how unfortunate the situation is. Yes, Maharaj.
All right. I may get cut off because the computer's overheating, and I just try to take some measures. If I get cut off, I'm not being rude. I'm trying not to be.
Computer is trying to figure out the Achintya Jiva Tattva now. That's
oh,
why.
yes. Yeah, it was the artificial intelligence in the computer was trying to give an answer, and it blew its capacity.
Users.
And Jai Gauranga, don't think too much. You can't, as Paramananda was saying, we can't understand anything at the end of the day. We have to go with the flow. And oh, to go with the flow is something which came in my mind just before also, when we were talking about getting enthusiasm. And this current, we are now in the downward, well, the world, taking birth in the world, is the downward carrying current, in the sense of that we go along and then we just end up in death, and that means end up in the plane of reaction to our karma. And as Guru Maharaj says, that to maintain one body, for one human body for one life, how many unlimited other beings are being eaten? If you're non-veg, let's face it, if you eat animals, how many hundreds and thousands of chickens and goats and all these things have been sacrificed to maintain one body? So all of this has to be repaid. This is karma. And even if you are not eating animals and you're eating vegetables, when we are exploiting, then we are exploiting the vegetables, etc. So normally this world, we are in the current, which is going to have its reaction, and that reaction is we take another birth according to our activities, and we are getting good or bad, but we're going through this cycle of death and birth. But this is the material current. But if we, and as Guru says, if we can get into the upward carrying current, we will be taken in that way. But we have to allow ourselves first to get into the current, and then not to hold on to the bank, not to hold on to some creeper or tree or something on the bank of that current. We've got into the river, you can say. We're going down a river, and it's going in two ways. We can go this way, which is going to go down. We can go this way, which is going to go up. We've got into the upward stream. But if we're holding on to the bank and looking over to the other current still, then we are being our own worst enemy, as it were, something like that. So we simply have to get into the upward carrying current and allow ourselves to be taken. And then all good things will come. And some of these questions, they are interesting, but it does come to one of these things which just became so much prominent in devotees' questions, etc., at one time, that it became absolutely sort of chewing the chewed, in the sense, oh, did we come from Goloka Vrindavan? Did we come from Tatastha Shakti? Where did we come from? Like it was a big deal and there's some controversy. And then finally, what does it matter where we came from? We are here now. And so we need to use our life now to go in the right direction and make sure that what we do now won't give us the cause. We could take another lifetime. Oh, where did I come from? How did I get here? We know the general overview of it all. So whether, the soul, the whole history of a particular soul, then it's going to come down to achintya, as we said before. We can't put it in our little brains. Yes, Paramananda Prabhu.
Maharaj, I just read the translation because I wasn't familiar by memory with that. So it's pretty clear here, actually. So it says, in accordance with your will, the souls take birth and die. In accordance with your will, they experience prosperity and ruin, happiness and distress. So it's obviously, he's just using this particular word, but he means the conditioned souls in this world, or the embodied conditioned souls. I think it's pretty clear message here. So it's not the soul that dies and takes birth, but it's the conditioned soul described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And thank you to Zavarupa. She posted all the verses. So don't be afraid, Jai Guranga. Your soul is never going to die.
Hare Krishna. Govinda, Govinda, Jai Jose, Govinda, Govinda. And they had their Bhagavad Gita class today. Today being yesterday then, but today, it was happening. And it's something Also about Bhagavad Gita, that we are thinking the Bhagavad Gita is primary, etc., and then a primary teaching. How much Srila Guru Maharaj refers to Bhagavad Gita in the high topics of understanding, knocking into our consciousness, what is the right consciousness, and in the illumination in Upadeshamrita, that's published from the temple, then in Guru Maharaj's illumination. We're currently in the 10th of the 11 verses of the Upadeshamritam, which is a gradation of consciousness, basically. And there, Srila Guru Maharaj is talking about the high planes and upper world, and he's referring to Bhagavad Gita. And I was reminded of this when Paramananda said then that Guru Maharaj told that Krishna is unashamedly saying, I am the origin of everything. But also Guru Maharaj here, he gave a little different idea that Krishna wasn't necessarily unashamedly, but he was saying, I was looking for it just now, but that's when the computer overheated. And I was looking for this quotation. But Guru Maharaj giving so much from Bhagavad Gita about this whole journey of our consciousness. So Bhagavad Gita, as Gurudev said, I've been reading Bhagavad Gita all my life, and still I'm getting new light from the Gita. And this idea a little bit came when we were reading yesterday and the day before in the 10th verse, Srila Guru Maharaj's illumination and his reference to Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, it's our treasure all the way through, and we can understand Bhagavad Gita more and more by hearing, as we know, through association, hearing from Guru Maharaj and hearing from Srila Gurudev. And I'm very happy to hear that you're singing all those songs, 50, it's only 50 songs in Sharanagati. And some of them are high songs. We go through, we give our respect. We don't sit there, please don't sit there discussing the high songs. We hold those on our head, but we continue as Parayan from beginning to end of the Sharanagati. And here in Vila Govinda, we're going through the Navadip Dham Mahatmya at this time. It just happened, and it seemed that it was early, like, oh, we're starting a little early, but it's not early, preparing for Mahaprabhu's advent, Gaura Purnima, etc. And it's on our bucket list to again sing the Sharanagati. All these books, everyone is the best book, as you know. And Kumkum, she's added something here also at the end. Here, Srila Guru Maharaj discusses levels of knowledge around 25 minutes. And we get knowledge or not by his grace. Okay, so dear devotees, I'm going to open it so that I'll have it when Zoom closes, because I still haven't quite worked out how to be the master of copying stuff out of Zoom. All right, trying not to. Okay, got it. Caught it in time.
Una compressa può passare?
No.
Una
Stop.
compressa di $1. Inizia a
There you are, you got the compulsory advertisements that come with YouTube.
Maharaj, you recommended this video last Sunday, your Sunday, and
Oh.
I am still trying to dive into how beautiful, but at that point in the talk is the very intricate discussion of levels of knowledge and how we start with our own experience, and it ultimately that is going underground compared to the higher levels, like which are ad hoc sija, and that will come or not come, and he will withdraw it or not. So we don't have to worry so much about understanding with our experience and our mind.
All right, perfect. Well, So if I've done something good in my life, and by accident, I'm fortunate. So I recommended it. I must go listen to myself and come back, because just by the DISGSILWX6M, it's not very clear to me. But somehow I memorized all that and then shared it. I didn't do it. I am not the doer. Krishna allowed the computer which memorized it and shared it. Anyway, Kumkum, appreciate that. And I want now, with this around 25 minutes, because it stood out to you, I'm going to come back and listen to that again shortly. Oh, shortly, now is already, oh, we're over time. Okay, so shortly means quite shortly, because we're over time today. All right, dear ones. At the beginning, we said we have an hour. Well, somehow or another, the hour passed by. And as we were saying earlier on, we think we have a lifetime, but somehow or another, lifetimes pass away. So let us use our hours, our minutes, our lifetime. Let us use all of this very carefully, very nicely, and with the association, with the not just associating as our friends, but in the association means getting the nourishment by the grace of the associate Vaishnavas. So through our Hari Katha, Hari Seva, Hari Kirtan, and Hari Prasad, then may we continue happily. Jai wonderful Srila Gurudev Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai wonderful Srila Guru Maharaj Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai wonderful Srila Prabhupada Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan, and wonderful, of course, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Bhaga Ki Jai. All the present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. And Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. And to our senior devotees, Kumkum Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Paramananda Prabhu and Krishna Priya Ki Jai. To all of you, one by one by one by one, you are all senior devotees. In Srila Prabhupada's time, if somebody had been a devotee 1 year, they were leading all the other devotees. And some of you are very senior because you've been around year by year by year. So to all of the exalted Vaishnavas, sincere seekers, Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Katitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai, wonderful Srila Bhaktiranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Oh dear. And I was just seeing Amarinda's dog just there too. He was in focus instead of Amarinda. There we are. There's a dog. Don't take a dog's body unless it's in the home of a devotee. Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Good to see you all. Have a good few days. We'll meet again very soon. 3 days' time, we'll meet. Govinda Govinda. Ashchi.